Okay, Bridge, and this is the real spiel from Affirmative writes, to firm human rights violations, LAPD deputies assaulting an elderly black couple who actually called the police because of a robbery. And no more affirmative action in America. Meritocracy, those things don't exist. Meritocracy in America, it's not possible. It's not possible with a nepotistic, hegemonic, racist, systematic, institutional nation. To all the cyclopses that are in the building, earth, wind, fire, spirit, those are the members. If you want to become a true subscriber, a true member who supports the channel, who supports the initiatives, who's part of the movement, please make a decision. Become an earth, wind, fire, or spirit member. The details of those things are there. Go into the beacons above and check out the merchandise and truly join the Real Spiel family. Become part of the Shiloh Institute. Listen, Black Panther X, Marielle, Herman Rowe. Listen, Sister Ann, Sister Yvonne, and all of the friends, family who come through. I haven't seen some of you in a while. Some of you pop in time to time. I appreciate you. Some of you come after the live. Bless you. So I wanted to say bless you. To Adi Al-Katani, the Spice Man, bless you. Adonai Skincare, bless you. And all of the rest of the family who I have not mentioned, bless you. As I see you, I will acknowledge you. Listen to me now. LA Sheriff County deputies responding to a call from a store, advised of this situation by a black couple, elderly black couple. That's something they're not saying, because we don't crack, because Vaseline petroleum jelly preserves us, and we look like mummified living creatures all the time. These two elderly black people, a black couple, husband and wife couple, big up to the black family. They awaited sheriff's deputies outside of a restaurant, unarmed. Actually, not true. One was armed with a cell phone. The other gentleman, the husband, waiting, standing for police officers to arrive to give his side of the story, was immediately accosted by the policeman, the white policeman, a pair of white police officers. Two white men who have no business dispensing the law of any multicultural nation. They should be maybe in the Netherlands or Sweden. I don't think they would even want them. But these two white men immediately identified two old black people, unarmed, standing there, trying to give them the details of a robbery, identified them as potential threats. Put your hands in the car. Put your hands in the car right now. What? Why? Put your hands in the car right now. Get on the floor. What? First of all, the man looked too old to even be put on the floor, I'm not going to jump the gun in my story. Get on the floor. Put your hands in the car. Sit down. Sit down. Just sit down. Sit down. Why the hell am I sitting down to speak to you? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of, an unarmed black man sitting down? Why do I need to sit down and have a conversation with you? You are an armed to the teeth policeman. What are you afraid of? Man's like, I'm not going to sit down. I'm not sitting. No, I'm not sitting down. Why do I have to sit down? I'm standing right here looking at you. My two hands are empty. You're standing behind your car. The fear of blackness is palpable still in the hearts of these cowardly men. Cowards. Who trains these men? you know what? Who trains them? I can't even blame your mother and your father. I can't blame your community. Who trained you? Who gave you an understanding of the contextualizations of what use of force is as a policeman? What is your threat assessment of an elderly, overweight black man, well-dressed, wearing his nice blue fedora hat, matching shirt, pair of jeans, older gentleman, easily uncle so-and-so, grandpa so-and-so, daddy so-and-so, an easy viewpoint assessment, non-threat. Don't you do these things in your use of force training, where you have your fake gun and you're going around trying to establish who's the threat, who's not the threat, as these things pop up? Oh, woman with a child, not a threat. Oh, little child riding his bike, not a threat. Oh, black man, threat, bam, 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 bam. Oh, no, sorry, that was a mailman. What is going on? Who's training you? He approaches the man. Approaches the citizen, call him, the black citizen, aggressively. Immediately upon getting close to him, says, let me pat you down. Well, I don't have anything on me. I got nothing on me. As he begins to pat him down, puts his hands behind his back, the other officer joins him, and they handcuff him right away. And what do they say? Oh, you're not under arrest. We're just handcuffing you. For what? What is the problem? His wife pulls up behind, clearly an elderly black woman, takes out her cell phone, starts to record it. The other officer turns, sees this, of course, this threat, another black person. Oh my God. She must be dangerous to us, in her cell phone, in her 60s, and approaches her. Not, ma'am, put the phone down, ma'am, can we have a conversation? Drags her and tries to throw her to the ground. No warning. No warning. Her husband says, she has cancer. Don't do her like that. She's got cancer. She being put to the ground. And then, because this strong Neanderthal, this mighty warrior of the LA County Police Sheriff Department cannot put handcuffs on a 60-year-old black woman of 140 pounds. This grandiose specimen of law enforcement can't even handle a 60-year-old lady with her cell phone in one hand and a set of glasses in another. He takes out his pepper spray and sprays her in her eyes. Again, where is your use of force paradigm to understand what is supposed to be done here? The woman screams, I've had eye surgery. So now, she's elderly. She has cancer. She's just recently had eye surgery. And you have thrown her to the ground. Got his knee in the back of her neck. And still is struggling to handcuff her. This guy is a real man. This guy's a real man. Wow. I hope your children are embarrassed about you. I hope your mother and father just sit in silence, shaking their head as they watch that over and over and over again. I don't know what your name is, Gary. Did you have to treat her so badly? What was she actually doing though? Like what information did you have? Son, that doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. I am so glad that they have removed the protections so that you guys can be sued personally. I'm so glad. I'm so glad now that the knee-jerk reaction of most of the police forces all over the place is just to fire you right away. I'm so glad. I'm so glad there's no due process for you. I am actually glad. I'm actually so glad that people like you do not get the benefit of the doubt. That the state does not protect you from liability. I'm so glad. I'm very pleased that you are going to go through it financially, that you're going to go through it in your own community. I'm very pleased that you're going to be plastered on the internet. I'm very pleased that you'll never get another job working as a police officer or a dog catcher anywhere else. I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they're going to find out your name, your address, everything. I'm so pleased that you. I'm so tickled that you're going to be fearful of your own personal safety for the next viable period of your middle-aged, weak, racist life. I have exuberation at the level of stress that you're about to go through for the next 10 years because you're a coward. You're a coward. And I can say it because I've done the job. I can say it because I have never had to deal with a woman in any way, shape, or form as you did, buddy. You're a joke. It's insanity. And it's insanity that we are living still in an age where we can't even vet you out before giving you that office. That we cannot even figure out that you have no business, that your profile, your mental health, your predilection of personality, your outlook and worldview has no similarity between you and an individual that is supposed to protect and serve the community. It is a complete failure that you are even wearing a uniform that looks like a police officer. It's a failure. And that's a tough job. You have to make quick judgments. You have to make quick assessments. You have to figure out really and snap in a snap of my. And yes, your life is on the line. That's the job you signed up for, buddy. Your life is on the line. That's why they give you a bulletproof vest, a gun, a taser, handcuffs, baton. That's why they give you pepper spray. That's why they give you intel. That's why they give you a car. That's why they give you a shotgun rack in the back. That's why they give you a backup partner. They give you a radio. And that's why they train you so that you don't just walk out there like a clown and get your head blown off. You know what? But you know what? You know what the first thing they say to you? The first thing they teach you? Look at the hands. Show me your hands. Most good officers, listen, if that brother's standing there and I can't see his hands, that's definitely a threat. But if I can see his hands, if I can see this woman is just holding a cell phone, there's no threat to me. Ma'am, I don't like people behind me. If you want a video, you can video from right here. Move, video from right here. But I don't like people behind me. You can video all you like. We're going to ask you some questions, but I'm not going to allow you to stand behind me. I don't like people behind me. No problem. If he said that, I would no problem. If he's firm, no problem. He's out there doing a job. You're a coward, bro. You threw the woman to the ground. First and foremost, I'm a martial art guy. Okay? One of the smartest things I've ever been shown is you don't give anyone the leverage of having a wall, a car, or anything else between giving them leverage to hit you, leverage to push off and whack you. I don't want you to put your hands on the car before I handcuff you. I want you to have nothing in front of you. I don't want you to be able to kick off a wall and use centrifugal force to hit me harder. I'm not going to do that. Why do you want to effect an arrest on your knees in a prone position? I don't want to do that. If I want to handcuff somebody, I'm going to handcuff you standing up. I have rarely had to take a compliant person, and even somebody who is uncompliant, to the ground to handcuff them. And they're not ready to be handcuffed if they're acting like that. That's once a person is actively resisting you, you disengage and raise your level of force. You don't try to handcuff an individual who is non-compliant by yourself, right? But maybe there's an exception to the rule if it's a 60-year-old woman. Maybe you can pull that one off by yourself, but clearly you didn't. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. But you know what you could have done? You could have held her. You could have put her in even a wrist lock. You could have done a lot of things and said, ma'am, calm down. Calm down. I'm not letting you go unless you calm down. You're going to calm down right now. Okay, yes, officer. I'm going to put these handcuffs on you. I'm going to put you over there next to your husband, and we're going to assess the situation. Why do you want to be battling somebody on the ground, rolling on the ground? It's just not smart. Who wants to be in a fight in the street on the ground? You're not walking around with knee pads. That's why he's putting his knee in the back of her neck, because he doesn't want his knees on the ground. He's using her head as a padding for his own knees. Anyway, apparently they realized those people didn't do anything wrong. They cited them. I don't know what cited means, because I guess they're using that they gave them some form of ticket, some form of charge, and then released them. You brave men. And then this happened, I think June 24th. So we're just getting the video now. And then the brave LA County department decided that they were going to, in all transparency, release the video. Get out of here, bro. Release the video and the audio. Come on, man. Get out of here. Honestly, get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Press release should have been the next day. The next day, press release. We've looked at the video. This is not acceptable. These men have been suspended. These men have been released of their duty. We'd like to apologize to that couple right away. We understand that there are ramifications that are legal, but we do not police this way. Period. That's what the chief should have said. That's what the mayor should have said. Right? That's what the district attorney should have said. We do not police this way. This is not policing for us. We had information that there were, look at the same old foolishness. A black couple fitting the description. So what, two elderly black people who are robbing a store are standing there waiting for you? Empty-handed? With no weapons? With no goods? They look like you're, so any two black, once you get a report that there's two black people in a position to rob a store, you're looking for any two black people now in America? You got a lot of suspects right there. You got a whole lot of suspects. I don't understand it, and we're not supposed to. You're not supposed to try to understand these things. You're supposed to see it for what it is. You're supposed to see it exactly for what a picture speaks. It's not even 1,000 words. It's much more. It speaks. It shows you what it is. And it's again, we're still dealing with it in 2023. And on the back of that is the abandoning of affirmative action in America, and these continuous conversations of, we don't need affirmative action. This is a nation of laws. People should be able to be evaluated and judged by their merits. Blah 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 blah. Roland, what the heck is Roland's last name? Roland Martin gave a very good breakdown of why meritocracy makes no sense in America. 43% of all American universities, 43%, are attended by white legacy students. So it means that their parents, grandparents, great-great-grandparents went to the school, and they were given points and credits in respect to application and access to school, even funding, because they're a legacy student. So basically, because of the benefits, this is how he explained it, because of the benefit of Jim Crow and the capacity to keep black people outside of educational institutions, and that these individuals of white pigmentation, European background, now settled in the colonies, now they and their children get an advantage perpetually, because their great-great-granddaddy and a granddaddy, whoever, went to that university. 43%. When you get to other ethnicities, it's like at 19 and lower with Asians, blacks, and Latinos. So right away, just the access to information, education, is based on what? What's it based on? Is it based on meritocracy? No, it's based on nepotism. It's based on nepotism, right? Everybody knows this statement. It's not what you know, it's what? It's who you know. And it's also who you're related to. And this is where we've been living. This is the place that most of us have been living most of our lives. It's not meritocracy. It's never been meritocracy. You know what? Let me give you some good news. It's not even meritocracy with God. Thank goodness. It's not even meritocracy with God. The Bible says it's impossible to please him without faith. The Bible speaks of grace. It speaks of the unmerited favor of God. That God, in his divine omniscience, makes a preeminent decision to simply love you, to simply say, you belong to me. They say it like this in the Pentecostal church: favor ain't fair. Meritocracy, this is what I'm trying to get to. Meritocracy is not even a principle in heaven. It's not even a principle for the most powerful being that is meritocracy. But people who are racist, who are xenophobic, people who are biased, who are sinful, and are deceitful, are trying to slip in meritocracy. Oh, this thing should just be about us being fair to each other, shouldn't it? You sound Luciferian. You sound serpent-like, because you are selling something. You are you little snake. You're selling something that you know absolutely is fraudulent and fake. God doesn't base anything on merit. God bases things on how did Noel Jones say it? His divine pulchritude. He bases things on the fact that God can look at a circumstance and say, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated, even while the children were in the womb. There's a principle. There's two frames of Christian thinking. One is Calvinistic and one is Arminianist. Let me explain very quickly. Calvin is a French lawyer who says, you know what? It would seem to me that God has created a system that he is irresistible, and that when he decides to cause you to be blessed, he has decided it forevermore, and therefore you don't have any choice but his divine favor, the irresistible grace. Irresistible. It's irresistible. It's on you. You can look up Calvinism, and the terminologies of Calvinism are an acronym called TULIP. That's your homework. Go look up Calvinism and look up TULIP. TULIP. Calvin's position is that God has decided who shall be saved and who shall be damned, even before they have arrived. Arminianist says, I don't like that position. It means that God is culpable in my sin, and he's culpable in me going to hell. Why would a loving God create me to send me to hell? So Arminius says, no, what God has done, contrary to Calvin, is that God has given man enough faith that he has the capacity to either choose God or reject God. This is where the Pentecostals sit. They sit on this side of the fence. They have the capacity to say, you know what? I hear you, God, but I I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'm good by myself. I reject you. Calvin says it's not that you reject God, because God is irresistible to be rejected, but God forced you to reject him. Like Pharaoh, how he hardened Pharaoh's heart. He didn't want Pharaoh to let the people go so he could show himself to be God. And these two camps go back and forth in their theological assessment of the personality and the behavior of God with his people. But one thing comes together that these two polarized differences cannot resist and cannot avoid, that God is a God of grace. Good morning to you, Amala. And good morning to you, Golden Gold. That God is a God of grace. He is a God that says, even though it seems like this is not fair, I'm still going to bless him. I'm still going to do it for him. And why God can do that is because God is ultimately the righteous judge. And so here's where we get back to affirmative action. Affirmative action sounds more like God than meritocracy. Affirmative action says, you know what? You're right. You went to Harvard. You're right. You had great test scores. However, we need more people from this community to have access. So I will step into my divine grace, and I will pick this black boy out of this urban populace, and I will pick this black girl, and I will pick this Latino boy, and I will put them in a position to achieve. That's what affirmative action is. Affirmative action sounds like the grace of God reaching out to individuals who can't do it for themselves, individuals who can't reach the upper echelons of society. And God says, I shall bless you because I'm a blessing God. Affirmative action sounds like God. Meritocracy is a lie from the pit of hell. It's a lie. It's God knows that the minute that you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that your eyes shall be open and you shall be as gods. That's what meritocracy is. It's a lie. It's a lie. Because no white person in America has done anything based on merit. Oh, I hurt your feelings. No white person in America has done anything based on merit. You have inherent privilege based on the perspective of how that nation was built, based on, yes, slavery, based on institutional racism, based on laws created to give you an advantage, based on nepotism, and you have done nothing, absolutely nothing, based on merit. You have been graced by history that was on your side. And don't ever convince yourself otherwise. Those LA sheriff's deputies, I hope they put them boys under the jail. I hope they put them in a place where they got to visit some brothers. They got to visit some brothers in the yard, in the prison yard for a little while, and they can teach them that we don't take very kindly to how you treat elderly black people. These are the things. When you're evil to people, you will beget evil. And this is why I'm an individual that I am quick. I'm quick. I'm not quick. I'm kind of medium to forgive. I'm not quick. I'm kind of medium. I kind of drag my feet. I'm like, I know I got to get there eventually, but fine. It'll take a little while, but I'm going to forgive you. Man, I remember I spoke about my brother here the other day, and I said I had to get up and say, God, I forgive him. In fact, it's not forgiveness because he didn't ask for forgiveness. I pardon. I impute forgetfulness of his offense, right? Because forgiveness is a response to a request. So I can't call it forgiveness. That's not really forgiveness. can't forgive something that isn't requested. That's why people are going to hell, because you have to repent to be forgiven. If you just sit there, if we just sat there and said, "Oh, God's gonna forgive me, I'm good. He's a good, loving God. He's gonna forgive me. I can do what he wants. He won't let me." No, boy, no. I got some sons right now. One of them, a couple of them actually, that unless they ask me for forgiveness, they can't get nothing from me. They can't get nothing. Can't get nothing from me unless they look me in their face and say, "Dad, I'm sorry." That's all they gotta do. But they won't do that, right? Because how do we feel? Oh, well, God, why did you put me in this position? Dad, why did you do this? My one son said, he swore at me, and he swore. I'm not going to say the word that he said. And you're God. He took it that deeply. Yeah, he did. He was so upset with me that he was upset at the very fabric of my faith. Right? Right there, I should have folded him up like an envelope, but I didn't. I let him carry on. I sat back and said, "Oh, okay, I hear you. I hear this." I said, "Okay, God, I'm gonna let you handle this one," because he was cussing me out, and I was gonna fold him up. But the minute I heard him cuss you out, I said, "Oh, this one ain't for me." Samuel, when the people said, "We want a king," they didn't like Samuel's son. I don't think they like Samuel's people. They're like, "Yeah, when Samuel dies, we got to deal with this guy. I don't want this guy. I want a king." And so Samuel's like, "You better watch it now. You better watch it." Samuel wasn't a punk. He goes, you better watch it. And you better watch it, because Samuel's like, "I'm raising up my son to take your place here, and and then he says, "Okay, I'm gonna go to God with it." And God said, "Samuel, they haven't rejected you. They rejected me." And let me tell you something, that America, and this is it's going to hit somebody in their belly. Every time you do evil to a black person in America, you are fighting against God, because we are God's people. Every time you do evil, God says the Bible says there's 6 things the Lord hates, and the 7th is an abomination. Go look those up. What does God hate? Let me tell you one of them. Hands quick to shed innocent blood. When you come for us because of the color of our skin, because of your implicit bias, and you victimize us, you become an enemy of God. You go up on the wall as a people. Oh, you think it's just one? No. When they crossed over and they beat Jericho, and somebody took a wedge of gold and a Babylonianish garment, and they hid that garment in their tent, God said, "Tell them suckers, do not tell that nation, don't try to go to Ai. Don't try to defeat Ai. I'm not with them." One person's sin, God said, "I'm not with them." White people, you sit silent when this type of atrocity is done in your nation. You are all culpable. Every innocent little child that you think is innocent becomes now an enemy of God, because you have come against God's people. When you transgress the commandment of God, when you do something against the commandment of God, the entire nation, God seeks it from the nation. And we're not exempt. The concept of Deuteronomy 28, and that there's certain judgments that God will bring about on his people. Those people who did it, they pass on those judgments to their descendants. And even though I did nothing, because my father transgressed, I am stuck with a curse. Do not allow Do not allow this evil generation to curse your future. When you know as people that evil is evil and it's right in front of your face and you won't say anything about it, come on, man. I'm shutting this down. God bless you. This is Del K. Burton. This is The Real Spiel. From affirmative action to firm human rights violations, it should not be so. God bless you. Have a fantastic day.